Last year in Death Valley, in 118-degree Fahrenheit heat, our old trusty Coleman cooler finally gave up the ghost. We decided to upgrade to this Dometic 27. It's fantastic, and it's not just a cooler, it's a full-scale refrigerator or even a freezer. During COVID earlier this year, when we were overstocking our freezer with food, we cranked this down to 0 degrees Fahrenheit and stocked it full of stuff, and it ran great. It's a fantastic beast. But then, of course, we're kind of thinking about how to power it when we're overlanding, how to power it when the car is off overnight, or even for camping for extended periods as well. Now, initially, we got a Goal Zero 200X. Their lithium-ion battery. It's a nice little compact unit, only weighs 5 pounds. And that was so freaking awesome, we decided to upgrade up to this, a 500X. Now, what's the difference? So the 200X costs $300. This thing is 2.3 times the cost. It's a pretty penny. It's $700. But for that, you get, at least by the official numbers, 2.7 times the capacity for only 2.6 times the weight. So the 500X is more efficient in both dollars per kilowatt and kilowatts per pound. But those are by the book numbers. Let's actually do some real world testing, of course, here in my office at least. Let's start with the 200X. How long can it power this cooler? Doodaloo, 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 doodaloo. So that is 21, a little more than 21 hours. 2.7 times that should be in roughly the 55, 56 hour range. Let's go ahead and now find out what the 500X can do. We're going to go ahead and unplug it. And actually, the 500X has a nice display in the front where it actually shows the input wattage, the output wattage, the percent remaining, all that kind of good stuff. At the moment, it literally says 000 because the cooler, as you can see from the amber light right here, the cooler is kind of in passive waiting mode. It's at 36 Fahrenheit right now. When it gets up to 39 or 40, it'll go ahead and cycle on with the green light. And you can actually see the wattage turn on for the output. And we can go ahead and see the percentage decrease over the next roughly 50 to 55 hours. Let's see what happens. It died! Yay! All right, it finally died. Man, it was hanging on there forever there at the last percent. So if I'm doing my math right, and we'll put the real number down at the bottom, but I think it was 59 hours. So fabulous, fabulous lifespan there, powering the cooler. That's cool stuff. So we've got great battery life by the specs. In fact, I think I was estimating like 57, right? So it really did good. What else do we get for that? So a couple of things. One is, let me go ahead and plug in the charger here. So there are actually charger ports on the 500X, both on the front and the back. And I cannot stress how cool that is. The 200X, the charger plug and a fan are both on the back. So you can't put it back flush against anything. Whereas this thing, it does have a fan on the side and a vent on the other side. So it moves air through the sideways. But the back, you can just shove up against the seat back or wherever else you're putting it. And everything that you interact with is all on the front, which is fabulous. Another thing that you get is that the AC inverter is a lot more powerful. On the 200X, it's only, I believe, 120 watts. Not so much. Whereas on this guy, you can actually pump out 300 watts. Let's go ahead and detour to Death Valley and talk about what we can do with that much power. Monica loves tea in the morning. In fact, once, long ago, she told me that if I love her, I should make her tea every morning. And at home, that's pretty easy. Just fill up the electric kettle, press the button, and off it goes. But when we're off-roading, it's a little more challenging, pulling out the propane tank and the burner and the pot and get some water. And it's just, it's kind of a mess. So because we have the more powerful Goal Zero 500X, I started looking around to see if there was a more powerful like electric tea kettle. Well, more powerful than it's just a 12-volt one, because those all kind of suck. Because 12 volts, 10 amps, that's only going to give you 120 watts. That's not a lot of power at all. If you want to boil a cup of water at any sort of reasonable time, you need more power than that. And so I looked around, and the 110 volt AC electric kettles, most of them are like 1,000 watts, like a freaking hair dryer. But I finally found, and this is not in any way a paid placement or whatever, I just found this on Amazon and thought it was freaking awesome. So it's a little, what is this thing is called? It's a Lui Tuyo, I don't know. It's some weird Chinese knockoff name, little electric tea kettle. It is a vacuum walled, so it's kind of like a vacuum walled thermos, but it has essentially a heating element in the bottom, and it takes AC power, and it is 300 watts, which is exactly what we can get out of the Gold Zero here. Let's go ahead and make Monica a cup of tea. There's a little plug on the back here. We're going to open up, plug it in. It beeped and it's showing blue. Fill some water into it. And off it goes. Whoa. You now hear a bunch of noise coming from the Gold Zero. That's because it's feeding power. You can see in the front of the display here, it's feeding 300 watts of power through the AC inverter. Now, of course, it would be more efficient if it was DC 300 watts of power, because you're not doing the conversion. But again, there is no standard for that much power over DC. You have the classic 12 volt plug, and it only goes to 10 watts. So if you want a lot of power, you gotta go for the AC inverter. And there it goes. It's almost there. Okay, there we go. One perfect cup of tea and a cookie.
Oh, so awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, those look awesome. Hey my friends, so here at the Diamond O campground, that's Mila there working on her sausages and getting dinner ready here. Monica's working on some kebabs. But let's talk about the cooler and the batteries. This is our first time out with the new 500X battery. We arrived here at 11 a.m. yesterday, and it is currently about 7 p.m. the following day, so well more than 24 hours. And it was like 100 degrees today. We went on a hike around Hetch Hetchy Reservoir to the falls and stuff. It was pretty cool. And so the cooler here, it's actually cycled on at the moment, reading 41 degrees Fahrenheit. Been running fantastic. And the battery I have up here. And what are we down to? We're down to 15% left. So it's been sitting here in 100 degree heat, plus a night, right? But 15% left. So I'm going to go ahead and start the car and go ahead and charge it a bit. We're leaving tomorrow morning-ish. The extra capacity of the 500X has been fantastic because that allows us to essentially do like one charge cycle, and on the 3-day weekend, that's kind of all we need. And the cooler has run strong, no problems at all, even in this pretty damn toasty heat. To continue the all-electric kitchen theme we have going on here, so I had basically all the footage for this video in the can ready to go, and then California caught fire, and like everywhere. And so what few campgrounds were open, they had a no open flame rule. And so that means not just no campfires, but in many places, no cook stoves either, no open flames. So what to do? Went ahead and searched around on Amazon, seeing what I could find. Many of the cooking devices, hot plates and little hot pots and stuff, they take way too much power until I found this little guy. It's fantastic. It only costs $20. It has 2 power settings. The high power setting is 600 watts, which is far too much. The low power setting, however, says officially is 200 watts. Let's go ahead and turn it on. And there it goes. And over here on the Gold Zero, we can actually see that the output is actually kicking out 296 watts. So just about perfect. And essentially at the lower power mode, it's going to take a while. We've got a lot of water in here. Also, for what it's worth, let me just say that the metal liner doesn't come out. And so it's not like waterproof in any way. So to clean this, you're going to have to sacrifice some paper towel footage to the trash gods. But there you go. You can, certainly make soup for two or cook something in there. And essentially, we can feed it from our electrical system and not have any open flame. Win-win. Okay, we've achieved a nice gentle simmering boil in there. I'm not sure how long it's been, but I'll go ahead and put a time down in the bottom to confirm what it was. But we have burned, wow, 44% of our battery doing it. So this is not efficient in any way, but it's nice to have the option. Let's continue to one last test. One of the reasons why I really like the Gold Zero is that, yes, it's a little more of a premium brand, definitely a little more expensive per the amount of capacity you get, but the power electronics are so advanced and so smart, it's really fantastic. It'll go ahead and cut off automatically if it overheats or if you draw too much power or that kind of stuff without any harm to the unit at all. But most importantly for me is that essentially I can plug it in to a 12-volt charging plug with this device, and I can set it to either 5 amps or 10 amps, depending on my preference at the moment. So 10 amps, 120 watts, and I can leave it plugged in continuously. I never have to worry about unplugging it. In fact, for the long-term storage directions for the Gold Zero, how to put it on the shelf and have it ready in case of an emergency, you just leave it plugged in. It's that smart. It figures it out. It doesn't overtax your batteries or overcharge your lithium ion packs or whatever. You just leave it plugged in. And so I can literally leave it plugged in to the power system of the car, leave my cooler plugged into it, and it just freaking runs. I don't have to think about it. And that is so nice and fantastic. Now, so for our final test, what we're gonna do here, I'm gonna plug this in to the cigarette lighter right back here. There we go, green light is on, and we are set to the 10 amps. Yes, 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 all right. Now, when we went ahead and tested driving the cooler for, 59 hours or whatever the heck it was, so over the first 24 hours, we burned about 40% of the capacity of the battery. So how long do we need to recharge it at 10 amps to essentially regain that capacity? And in my case, I have a plug-in hybrid, and so I've got a 7 kilowatt hour battery hiding under the floor here that I can actually use to recharge it for a multi-day excursion. If you don't have that luxury, maybe you're driving at least an hour or two in between locations, or maybe you're thinking about solar or other options to kind of keep it charged up, whatever your solution may be, how much power do you put in? Now honestly, we could do the math in our heads, right? The capacity is basically 500 watt hours. So 40% is 200 watt hours. And at 120 watts, that's basically gonna be a little more than an hour and a half. But that was in ideal conditions in my office. Out in the wilderness, obviously we use a lot more power. So somewhere in the 40-50% range is what you need per day. How much time is that charging? So we're gonna go ahead and plug this in, and let's go ahead and get it going. And there's another thing we're gonna be testing at the same time. Let me get this plugged in. Amusingly, I'm actually feeding my GoPro right now, so that's how much power the GoPro is taking. And plugging it in here, and you can see the input there spool up here in just a moment. There it goes. The second thing we're gonna test is that my Volvo has the wonderful safety feature that if you don't do anything, after yay long, it will turn off by itself. I think it's roughly an hour-ish. I've honestly never timed it, so I'm kind of curious to find out, how long is it? So again, I've got the dash cam going, I've got the GoPro going, I'm gonna let them go continuously, and let's see how long it takes to charge that up and see how long the car runs itself, so then I'll know both numbers. Let's rock. So there we have it, just over 2 hours to recharge 50%, and there we have it. The Gold Zero
500x. Did it deliver its capacity advertisement? Yes, and more so. It looks like even in the most extreme heat, it can at least deliver 24 hours of runtime for my cooler. It has other fringe benefits like the nice display, the charge port on the front, the better power inverter, and 2 thumbs up. You can just plug it in, set it and forget it, and it just provides that peace of mind to know that it's running and keeping all our food nice and cool. Thank you for watching, everybody. And before you go, can you please post in the comments below what sort of electrical system do you have in your Overlander or that you're planning to build? Are you planning on doing something on the kind of premium end of the spectrum like the Gold Zero, or something more cost effective? And if the latter especially, what sort of trade-offs are you facing in choosing that kind of thing? I'm kind of curious to hear. Please, again, post in the comments below. If you appreciate content like this, please click the thumbs up button and subscribe. If you hated content like this, please slam that thumbs up button with authority. Again, thank you for watching. Take care.
Let's take a tangent into hot dog and sausage roasting technology. So in all my days of my youth, I would like find, a stick or a branch somewhere and you sharpen down the end and poke that down the end of a hot dog to cook it. And there's these nifty, cool, of course, sausage roasters that you can get from REI or wherever. But also, Monica introduced me to this Czech and Slovak technique where you actually slice open the sausage or hot dog. You cut it with a cross at the end and some kind of cross hatching on the sides. And what happens basically is you cook it is it opens up. And it gives the juices someplace to go so it doesn't kind of explode on you. But also you can kind of gauge how cooked things are as it opens up. Doesn't that look awesome? Very, very awesome, Mila.